Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Bootstrap tutorial. In today's class, I'm going to discuss about forms. So what are forms? Forms are elements, it's an element, and a form element is a container for different types of input elements. So what are the input elements? So the input elements are like text fields, check boxes, then radio buttons, submit button, etc. All these are called as the input elements. And so form element is a container in which you can put all these particular elements. So here in Bootstrap, you have a class which is called as form group class, and you need to give this form group classes so that there will be proper margins. Okay, so around the form controls, like whatever text fields that we put, we want proper margins to be there, and this form group will be doing that. So then another class that we have here is the form control. So the form controls will receive the global styling with the Bootstrap. And for example, the tag, which is input tag and then text area and select a tag, when you associate these particular tags along with the form control class, the width of it will be 100%. Okay. And Bootstrap have two types of form layouts. So what are those form layouts? Let us see. The first form layout. So these are the two types of form layouts. So the first layout is the stacked. First layout is the stacked, you can say like a stacked form. Okay. Or else you can also call it as the full width form. Full width form. Okay, so the second type of the form layout is the inline form. Okay, so second one is the inline form. We'll be creating the inline form with the class which is called as a form inline. So I'll show you both the ways of creating the form. So now initially what I will do is I'll try to create this kind of page. Okay, so wherein I'll be having a heading which is called as login, and then I'll be having so we'll be taking the email. Okay, so I'll take the email, then I'll be having a text field like this, then we'll take a password. Okay, so then I'll be having a text field like this, then we'll have a checkbox, and then I have a label which is remember me, and then finally we'll have a submit button. So let us get started in creating this in Bootstrap. So this is the HTML document wherein I have included all the CSS and JavaScripts in the head tag. Okay, inside the body tag, I'll be putting my form. So whatever content that I want to appear on my web page, I will be putting inside the body tag. So inside the body tag, I'll be taking a tag which is called as the form tag. I'm closing the form tag here, and in between this form tag, so I have a heading, right? So I have a heading, and that heading is of H3. I am saying class is equal to H3, and what did I put? So I said it is login, right? So I'm just putting this heading over there, so which is closing of the heading. So I can put this heading outside my form. Okay, so let me put this outside the form. Okay, and inside the form I need a label tag, so I'm taking a label tag. And so what do I require? I require an email. So I have written email. I'm closing the label tag. Okay, so see the output of it. So I'll be getting the login, and then I have the email. So I got the label. So let me actually put the text field. So I'm saying input class. So let me actually do this and show you in basic HTML. So type is equal to, so what is the type? It is an email. And then I'm giving some ID to it, wherein I'm saying the ID is email. Okay. So I just have done this, and let us see what will be the output of it. So I got email, and then I got a text field, something like this, to enter the email. So I haven't given the form control and all that I haven't given. Okay. So form group and form control I haven't given. So let us give that particular styling and see how it will look. Okay. So here inside the form, I'll be taking one more tag, which is called as the div tag. So inside the div tag, I'm saying class is equal to, so which is nothing but the form group. So I have made it the form group. So let me actually close the div tag here. So I close the div tag. So now let me actually show you. Okay, so it's still the same because I didn't add the form control here in the input. So let me add the form control here, wherein now I'm saying class is equal to, so I'm saying it is form hyphen control. Okay, so I added a class which is called as form hyphen control, and do observe the change. As I click on it, you can see that I got the form control in the next line, and it is 100%. Okay, so it is 100%. I got the width to be 100%. So let me actually take one more label and one more input. So I'm taking one more label and one more input. Let me actually copy this entire div. Okay, and then put it over here. So now what is the label? So the label is password. So I'm giving password here. And what is the type? The type is also password. And let me give the ID to be PWD. And I said class is equal to form control. So let me refresh this. You can see that I got one more thing. So you can see that the styling that I get, okay. So I got a styling around it. This is what is called as global styling that is given to the form controls by Bootstrap. So I got some blue colored border and all that. Okay. So what else we need to have? Next is like we need to have a check box and then a label. So to do that, I'm actually taking a div class. Okay, so I'm taking a div tag. So inside the div tag, I am giving the form group. Okay, so I said form group, and along with this, I'm saying it is form check. Okay, so I added two classes here, which is form group and form check. Let me take off. Okay, I'll show it in the output. What will happen if I keep it and I don't keep it? So I'm closing this div tag, and now we'll see what we have to give in between this. So here I need to create a label. So I am giving the label tag. Okay, and what is there inside the label tag? So inside the label tag, I have remember me, right? So I have remember, okay, so which is remember me. Okay, but remember me, before remember me, I have a checkbox. So to give the checkbox, I'm taking the input tag and I'm saying type is equal to, so I have given which is nothing but checkbox. Okay, so close this tag. Okay, so let me refresh this and show you. So as I refresh, you can see that I got the checkbox. I also got the label, but they didn't get the styling that I need to get with the Bootstrap. They're not properly aligned and all that. To give that inside the label tag, I'm taking one more class, which is called as a form. So in between these double quotes, I need to say form hyphen, okay, so form hyphen check hyphen label. Okay, so I'm saying this is form check label. So let me actually refresh this, and inside this particular input I'm saying class is equal to, what is a class? Which is form check and then which is input. Okay, so now as I refresh, you can see that it is now properly aligned. Okay, so if I take off this form check from here, so I just remove this form check here, and as I refresh, you can see that it is not properly aligned. It came off to this particular margin. Okay, so the checkbox is before the margin. So you need all these classes to properly arrange your content. Okay, so now as I have given the form check and as I reload it, you can see that it is now properly arranged. So let me give the button now. So to give the button, I'm taking the input tag, you can take the input tag, and I'm saying type is equal to, so what is the type? It is the button. And then class is equal to, so what is the class that I require? I need a btn, so this is the name of the class, and I need a blue color button, so I'm saying btn primary. Okay, and I want the value of it to be submit. Okay, so I want submit to appear on top of the button, so I just have put the submit. So let me reload this, and you'll be able to see a submit button. Okay, so this is how you use this form group and form control, and then form or check, and then form check label and form check input to create this kind of login page. Okay, so if you want to, so say for example, I am taking off this particular div from here, and then I'm taking off this div as well. Okay, so this is the first label and input, and I'm taking off these two as well. Okay, so this is the second label and all that, and then I'm taking off this div as well. Okay, fine. So I have, this is for the email, this is for the password, this is for the check box and reminder, remember me and all that, and then I have the button. So after this, I'm closing the div tag for the form group. Okay, so let me refresh this and show you. So it will look something like this. Okay, so there is no space in between and all that. So when you use the div tags, so you can get more spaces between the elements. That's the only difference between having more number of divisions or keeping it entirely in a single div tag. Okay, so let us see the next concept. So this is what I was creating, and this concept is nothing but stacked, or so what is this? I have created a stacked form. Okay, or else I have created a full width form. Okay, so I created a full width form. So now let us create the other one, which is the inline form. So to create the inline form, um, let me do that now. Okay, so here inside the form, okay, so inside the form, I am saying class is equal to, so what is the name of the class? The name of the class is form inline. So I have given a class which is form inline. So now I'm taking off this form group because I require an inline form, and then I have an email, then password, and then I have this check box and all that, and then finally I am having a submit one. Okay, so let me take off this div tag from here. Okay, so I have the form and all that. So let me refresh this and show you so how it will look. So you can see that this particular inline forms are by default left aligned, and they are in the same line. I'll show you that. And these work, these forms with viewports, they will be in the same line with viewports, at least like the forms with viewports at least 576 pixel wide. On screens smaller than 576 pixels, like it will be something like this. Okay, so it will be like stacked. We have already seen this, right? And as the screen width keeps growing, you can see that everything comes in the single line. Okay, so these are what are called as inline forms. The inline form that we have created looks like compressed, right? And it will look much better if we are adding Bootstrap spacing utilities. What are the spacing utilities that are available in Bootstrap? So let us see what are they. So the first one is the right margin. Okay, so we can add a right margin. Okay, so right margin is here. Okay, in between this ones. Okay, so you can add a right margin here between these things and all that. So right margin, and how can you add that? So there is an utility class which is mr hyphen sm hyphen 2 and all that. So you can give 2, and to each input on all devices. Okay, so you can on all devices which are small and upper. Okay, so from SM all the upper viewports it will be applicable, and you can give the margin bottom class which is MB hyphen 2 and all that. So this is used to style the input field when it breaks. Okay, so let us try to apply this and see the output. So you can see that it is of like compressed, and everything is like you can see that there are no spaces here, nothing, everything looks like it is very compressed. Okay, so now we'll try to add and see that. So I'm taking the same code which I already have written for the inline form. Okay, so this is an inline form, right? So now we'll be adding the margins. So let us add the margins. So where I'll be adding a margin in the label, so which is the email label. Okay, so I'm having an email label, right? So I'm saying class is equal to, so what is a class? Which is mr hyphen sm hyphen, so I'm giving a 2 over here. So I give mr hyphen sm hyphen 2. Let me show you the effect of it. Okay, so this is how it looks, right? So as I reload it, you can observe the difference. As I reload it, you can see that there is a now margin here after the label. So in the same way, I can give the margin as well here inside the input control. So inside the input control, I'm giving a bottom margin, which is MB hyphen 2. And then I'm giving the right margin, which is MR hyphen SM hyphen 2. Okay. So I'm doing that. So let me actually show you that. Okay. So it is something like this. You can see that we got a margin here. Let me reload it and take an observation that I'll be getting a margin here as well. So you can see that now I got a margin here. Okay, right. So you can do that with this particular utility classes. So let me add for the other ones as well, and I'll show you the final effect. Okay, so in this label again I added it, and I'm adding this one again inside this one. Okay, and let me add okay, so inside this label one, what I'll do is I'll take a div here, and I'll say div class is equal to, so which is nothing but the form check. Okay, so which is nothing but the form check. And then I'm giving MB hyphen 2, and then I'm saying MR hyphen SM hyphen 2. Okay, right. So let me close a div here. Okay, fine. And because I'm considering this entire thing to be together. Okay, right. And then finally we get the input, right? So let me show you this. Okay, so this it is now as I reload it, you can see that I am getting everything is having spaces now, and it looks more good. Okay, right. You can also use columns to control the width and the alignment of the form inputs without using this Bootstrap spacing utilities like MR and all that. So let us do that. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the form tag here. So then close the form tag. Okay, so in between this, okay, so in between this, I am having a div class, a div tag, and I'm saying class is equal to row. Okay, and then close this particular div, close this div here, and inside this row, I'll be creating another column. Okay, so I'll be creating a column. Okay, so I'm saying call. Okay, so just say call, and then so what you want inside the call? So inside the call, I want to have an input email. Okay, so I'm saying email type is equal to email, and then I'm saying class is equal to, so then I'm saying it is form control, And then what else? So I'll be putting, because I'm not putting a label, I'll be putting a placeholder. So what is there in the placeholder? I'm saying enter your email. Okay, so enter your email here. Okay, so if you want to have the ID, you also give the ID. So ID is equal to email. So then I'm taking one more call over here. So let me close this div here. So this is my first column. I'll be taking one more column here. Okay, so the next column type is equal to password. Um, and then inside the placeholder, I'll be saying enter your password here. And what is the ID? The ID that I'm giving is PWD. Okay, so I close the div here. So when I do this, this is what is the Bootstrap grid system. So the row I have created, right? So each and every row is of 12 columns. Okay, so each and every row will be having 12 columns. Since inside this row, so this row have started over here and it ended here. So in between this row, I have given two columns. So this is the first column and this is the second column I have given. So this 12 columns, right? So it will be divided into these two inputs. So for the email, it will be taking 6 columns. And then for the password, it will be taking 6 columns. It will be equally divided into these two things. Okay, so you don't require to give the Bootstrap space utilities and all that. So let me actually run this and show you. So you can see that this is my container, and this it is equally dividing the number of columns among these two inputs. Okay, so if you add one more input, okay, so say I am taking one more input and then I'm saying this is a password or whatever. Okay, so I just added one more input. Let me refresh this and show you. So now it is divided among these three input controls equally. Okay, 4, 4, 4 it will take. So this is 4, 4 and 4 columns. Right. If you want less grid margins, instead of a row here, you can give form hyphen row. Okay. So let me give that and show you the output of it. Okay. So why I'm using form hyphen row? So I'm using this to get less grid margins. Okay. Right. So as I refresh this, just try to observe what will happen. So as I refresh this, you can see that the gaps over here have reduced. So if you want to reduce these gaps, the margins, okay, or the gutters between the columns, you will be using the form row. Friends, now let us look into form validation. We can use different validation classes to provide valuable feedback to the users. So the first validation class that we can use is the class which is was hyphen validated. Okay, so we can use this class, and we also can use another class which is called as the valid hyphen feedback. Okay, so we also will be using another class which is invalid hyphen feedback. Okay, so let me show all these particular classes in action. Okay, well, fine. So I have come back to the original form. So this is the stacked original form that I have created. Now I'll be adding form validations to it. So the first thing that I need to do is inside my class. Okay, so this is my form tag, right? So inside the form tag, I'm adding a class which is called as was validated. So I'm adding a class over here. So I'm saying class. Okay, so add a class over here. So I'm saying class is equal to was hyphen validated. So I need to give this class to add validations. And the next thing that I'm doing is inside this particular input. Okay, so I'm giving a class which is called as required. Okay, so I'm saying it is required. Okay, so then I'll be adding two more divs over here. The first div will be having a class which is called as valid feedback. Okay, so which is called as valid feedback. What is the valid feedback that you want to give? I'm saying everything is valid. So I just wanted to print valid if all the validations are correct. Okay, and I'll be having one more div over here, and I'm saying class is equal to, so what is it? It is invalid feedback. Okay, so when do I require this? When the validations, when the user is not entering any data into it. So I'll say please. Okay, so if the user forgets to fill in a field or whatever, so I'm saying please fill this field. Okay, so please fill this field, it is required or whatever. Okay, so then I'm closing the div over here. Nothing I have done, I just have done this. Okay, so I have added the was validated, and then I have added this required here, and then I have added two more divs where one is taking valid feedback, which will appear in green color, and invalid feedback will appear in red color. So let me reload this and show you. So as I reloaded, because I didn't do it for the password, I'm not getting anything for the password, but you can see it. I have done it for the email. So you can see that because this was validated is applied to this particular password. Okay, that's why it is showing a tick over here. But for the email, it is not showing anything because I have added this valid feedback and invalid feedback. So as I click here to type in something, so I'm simply typing Sudha here, but still it didn't go off. Okay, so it is saying please fill this field. Why? Because I have given the type of this input to be email. So since I have given the type of this to be email, so as I hover my mouse on top of it, it is saying please include an @ in the email. Okay, so there is no @, so it is not saying that it is a valid thing. So I just need to include the @. Even if I have put the @, it is saying please enter a part following @. Okay, so it is still incomplete, it is saying. So I just have typed email. So as I have typed email, now it is saying that it is valid. Okay, right. So before the invalid feedback, whatever I have given, please fill this field and all that is in red color. Now, once the validation, so whatever email type that we have given, all the validations, internal validations are correct, then it is giving me a green color text over here. Or you can write whatever you want here in the valid. You can say the email is correct, email ID is correct. Okay, move on and all that you can write. So I'm writing valid and fill this field. Now coming to the password, let me do the same thing over here. So I'm saying it is required. Okay, and I'll be adding these two again to the password field as well. Okay, so I added it. So let me refresh this and show you. Okay, so as a refresh, now I got this invalid feedback because I haven't started in entering anything. Now I said @ and then I'm saying Yahoo. It will take. Now coming to the password, so say I have typed Sudha, so it, whatever it is, like, okay, so it is taking it and it is saying valid. So the basic ones, and you can see that I have got an I over here which will show the characters, original characters that I have typed, and the echo character is dot here. But if you want to see the characters, you can click on this I symbol here, and then you will be able to see the password that I have typed. Okay, so this is regarding form validation using the classes which was validated, and then valid feedback and invalid feedback. You also have one more class which is called as needs-validation. Okay, so along with was validated and all that, you also have another class which is called as needs validation, which will add the validation after. Okay, so the validation effect will be added after the form has been submitted. Okay, so if anything is missing, okay, after the form that has been submitted, if anything is missing, then this will add the validations to it, and for that you require the jQuery code and all that. So I hope this video is helpful to you. Thank you for watching.